The Senate of Colombia approved the initiative that establishes gender parity in electoral lists that guarantees greater participation of women in political activities. Russia's President Vladimir Putin called opposition leader Alexei Navalny an agent of U.S. Special Services and denied accusations of Russian hackers meddling in U.S. elections. Saudi Arabia started its COVID-19 vaccination campaign after the approval of the Pfizer vaccine. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. The Senate of Colombia approved the initiative that establishes gender parity in electoral lists that guarantees greater participation of women in political activities. The legislature decrees that 50% of the list of candidates for political office must be made up of women. The Senate approved the initiative in the framework of discussions to reform the Colombian electoral code under allegations of inconsistencies by opposition congresspersons. The resolution must be enacted by President Iván Duque for it to come into effect. And we stay in Colombia, where the indigenous community Nazoret, located on the riverbanks of the Amazon, is a pioneer among Colombia's indigenous peoples in terms of sexual diversity. There, respecting the rules of Ticuna ancestral communities and accepting their sexual condition, coexistence is possible.
Within the community, we as lesbian, gay or bisexual population are the ones who teach, we are the ones who support in events, in activities carried out by the community. We are the ones who are always there. I would like them to accept that a person from the lesbian, gay or bisexual group has their couple, but not at this moment. But let's say we as members could fight for the process so that our children and their children, the future generations, will have that opportunity.
As part of the national strike, Chilean health workers continue to mobilize to demand better salaries from the government. Health sector workers hold the national strike prolonged of primary care to demand a wage adjustment offered to the union. The president of the municipal health care of the capital, Gabriela Flores, said that until now the government has only offered a staggered adjustment that leaves the majority of workers with less purchasing power. This mobilization is joined by 16 other unions from the public sector, which are protesting the failure of the negotiations with the Piñera government over wage adjustments. And today, the Argentine Senate will hold the last hearing before the legislators discuss to move to signature to the opinion that will make possible to debate in the session of December 29th the bill on the voluntary interruption of pregnancy. The plenary of the commissions in charge of analyzing the draft will try to have the final opinion issued today at the end of the fourth day, which began on Wednesday with the presence of experts in legal medicine. The plenary of the commissions of Women, Justice and Criminal Affairs and Health will end with a hearing at 9 a.m. local time. Once this happens, the legislators must debate and will debate, and then it's hoped that they will move on the signing of the opinion with the intention that the discussion of the project will take place on December 29. The 3rd District Judge of Federal Criminal Proceedings in the state of Mexico issued a formal order of imprisonment against the former mayor of Iguala, José Luis Abarca, linked to the disappearance of the 43 students of Ayotzinapa. Abarca was charged with the crimes of organized crime and operations with resources of illegal origin. The former mayor had obtained a safeguard in recent days. However, a new hearing was concluded that his detention is warranted. The ex-mayor is accused of being related to the criminal group of United Warriors and of being responsible for the disappearance on September 26, 2014 of the 43 students of Ayotzinapa. The accused remains detained in the federal prison of the Altiplano in the state of Mexico. At least 10 casualties were reported in Brazil this Thursday due to heavy rainfall in the state of Santa Catarina, located in the south of the country. According to the volunteer fire department of the municipality of Getulio, at least 20 disappearances have also been reported. They warned that the numbers could rise as rescue work progresses. The heavy rainfall started Thursday morning and lasted 6 hours. The downpouring caused damage to infrastructure and blocked roads in the region. Authorities warned that new precipitations could be registered in the next hours. And the South American nation also surpassed the 900 deaths by coronavirus during the last day and accumulates more than 7 million cases of the virus. Since the beginning of November, Brazil is going through an upsurge of cases and fatalities. The National Council of Health Secretaries of Brazil reported 936 fatalities related to the coronavirus in the last day, which raises the number to 183,735 fatalities since the beginning of the pandemic. Health authorities also registered 70,574 new infections for a total of 7,040,608 cases reported so far in the South American giant. This new daily record is given the same day the national government presented its vaccination plan that could start in mid-February 2021. And the government of Peru decided on Wednesday to resume clinical trials of Sinopharm after clarifying the adverse incident with a volunteer. Health authorities in the South American country had temporarily paralyzed the process involving 12,000 volunteers after an unexpected reaction was registered in one of them. Once the researches were concluded, it was proved that it was a pre-existing condition not attributable to the drug. Now it is necessary to conclude the first stage before the beginning of the administration of a new dose in the volunteers. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Peru, Elizabeth Astere, announced that talks with Sinopharm will be advanced to acquire, once the certification process is completed, the necessary doses for the immunization of the entire population. Peru has to this date 987,675 positive cases of COVID-19, of which 36,817 people have died. And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the South. On Thursday, Russia's President Vladimir Putin called opposition leader Alexei Navalny as an agent of U.S. Special Services and denied accusations of Russian hackers meddling in U.S. elections.
It's not some kind of investigation. It's just the legalization of materials provided by U.S. Special Services. Don't we know that they track locations? Our special services understand and know it well. Our servicemen from FSB and other special agencies know it as well and use cell phones where they think it's not necessary to hide their location. If this is right, and I assure you that this is right, it means that this German hospital's patient relies on the support of U.S. Special Services. If Navalny is supported by U.S. Special Services, then it's interesting and Special Services have to look after him. But it doesn't mean that it's necessary to poison him. Who cares about him? If we wanted, we would have made it done. His wife asked me and I immediately ordered to let him go for treatment to Germany. Russian hackers didn't help the incumbent at the moment U.S. president to get elected during elections in 2016 and didn't meddle into internal affairs of this great country. This is speculations, an excuse to spoil relations between Russia and the United States. It's an excuse not to admit the legitimacy of the incumbent president of the United States that was caused by internal political issues.
The French presidential palace announced on Thursday that French President Emmanuel Macron has tested positive for COVID-19. In a written statement, the Élysée Palace stated that Macron will self-isolate along with his wife. The palace said the president took a test as soon as the first symptoms appeared. Parisians on Thursday reacted to the news. Somaya Mayalpid said Macron's positive test shows how serious the pandemic is and that anyone can get infected. Prime Minister Jean Costa, who spent Wednesday evening with the president, will also self-isolate and work remotely.
He's like everybody. He faces the same threat as his fellow countrymen, and I hope the problem is he won't be the only one that have to deal with this, considering the number of contacts he has through the day with the government, his family and his collaborators. I think it's going to mean isolating a lot of people, maybe at the Elysee Palace. It doesn't mean much to me, but it means he probably didn't respect all the health measures.
British actor Sir Ian McKellen received a coronavirus vaccine as the UK continued its nationwide vaccination rollout program. The 81-year-old Lord of the Rings star was given the recently approved Pfizer-BioNTech jab at London's Queen Mary Hospital. McKellen said that he was euphoric to be vaccinated against COVID-19, but said he will continue to wear his mask and social distance. At least 138,000 Britons were given the vaccine in the first week of the UK's vaccination program, which started earlier in December.
Top of the list of the institutions that do well. And of course I know I wouldn't be alive if it hadn't been for the NHS. I'm a little bit older than the NHS, but when I was a kid, having good medical treatment available when it was needed. What a wonderful notion.
Australian authorities are searching for the source of emerging COVID-19 cluster that has grown to 17 in Sydney's northern coastal suburbs. Australia's largest city had gone 12 consecutive days without community transmission until Wednesday, when a driver who transported international air crews in a one-to-one from Sydney airport tested positive. By Thursday, 17 people had been infected with the virus, as well as 6 returned travelers who had been infected overseas and tested positive while in hotel quarantine. The new infections include a woman who works at the Pittwater Palms aged care home, which has since been closed to visitors. A drummer in a band that had played in several clubs around Sydney in recent days has also been infected.
We heard that there was a hot shop, a hot spot in Avalon, and we live at Avalon. My wife has been on some of the locations where those people who tested positive had been, and of course, you know, we are over 70 and we are concerned.
I've been to quite a few of the reported locations. Someone in my street tested positive.
A severe snowstorm hit the northeastern region of the United States, hindering the ongoing prevention and control measures in the fight against the raging COVID-19 pandemic. The winter storm brought heavy snowfall and sleet, which greatly hampered local traffic and COVID-19 detection and prevention efforts. A flurry of snow in Washington, D.C. early in the day quickly turned into sleet, causing icy roads and heavy traffic congestion. Authorities warned residents to cut down travel. In addition, the states of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts experienced heavy snow on the same day. Many electric power companies have urgently organized professional personnel to deal with the possibility of power outage. Experts predicted that the winter storm will last till Thursday afternoon local time and may bring up 45 centimeters of snowfall in some areas, which will break the snowfall record in the winter of 1961 and become the biggest snowstorm in history. The State Department's special envoy for Syria at congressional hearing on Wednesday admitted to helping Republican donors score a deal for Syrian oil. Special Envoy Joel Rayburn confirmed during Wednesday's House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing that the company is Delta Crescent Energy, a little-known firm co-founded by several people who have donated to Republican causes, including Graham's own campaign. The Republican Lindsey Graham first announced in July that U.S.-backed Kurdish-led forces had granted an American company a deal to modernize the oil fields in areas of northeastern Syria guarded by U.S. troops. Americans are currently banned from dealing with Syrian oil under U.S. economic sanctions on Syria, and Delta Crescent Energy is the only firm known to have been granted an exception to the sanctions by the U.S. Treasury. On Thursday, Russia's foreign minister condemned the United States and some of its allies for imposing criminal unilateral sanctions on Syria during a meeting with his Syrian counterpart in Moscow.
Solving problems about the country's socio-economic development, solving issues met by the Syrian people in the COVID-19 situation are hindered by criminal unilateral sanctions which have been imposed on Syria by the United States and some of their allies. Besides, we denounce the continuing illegal presence of foreign military contingents in the Syrian territory. When we see that the United States steals our oil, occupies our territory, supports some non-national movements when they illegally enter on our territory, disrespecting our sovereignty, all this contradicts the United Nations Organization's resolutions, and this doesn't aim to the restoration of Syria. On the contrary, this aims to the destruction of Syria.
And we have more stories coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Saudi Arabia has kicked off his COVID-19 vaccination campaign, with the kingdom's health minister receiving the first dose a week after authorities approved the Pfizer vaccine. Saudi Health Minister Tawfiq Al-Rabaya said the government is confident of the safety of the vaccine, vowing that all citizens in the nation will get injections free of charge. Authorities say they will give priority to health workers, citizens and residents over 65 years old and those with underlying health conditions such as obesity in the first phase of the rollout. The government did not specify how many shots had been received, but said it plans to vaccinate at least 70% of the population by the end of next year.
Today is the beginning of the relief from the pandemic crisis, thank God. I give my thanks and gratitude to the custodian of the two holy mosques for sponsoring the largest immunization campaign in the history of the kingdom. During the last 9 months, I was worryingly following the number of infections. Today, I will start happily following the number of people who got vaccinated. I took the vaccine, thank God, in the first vaccination center, which includes more than 550 clinics, to ensure that there are enough clinics to give the largest possible number of vaccines. We will have vaccination centers in all areas of the kingdom.
And Fiji imposed a nationwide curfew Thursday after urging people near the coast to move to higher ground as the island nation prepared for a major cyclone to hit. Cyclone Yasa is expected to hit the two main islands of Viti Levu and Vanua Levu after Thursday on early Friday. Authorities declared a state of natural disaster. Officials said evacuation centers were open in the country's northern, western and central divisions. The National Disaster Management Office warned that the cyclone will bring waves as high as 16 meters in some places and sustained winds of up to 250 kilometers per hour, with gusts hitting 350 kilometers per hour. China's foreign ministry on Thursday hailed the Change E5 mission as a major step forward of China's space industry after the probe's capsule.
As the most complex project of China's aerospace system with the largest technological span, Chang'e 5 marks a major step forward of China's aerospace industry and will contribute to deepening of mankind's scientific understanding of the origin of the moon and the evolution of the solar system. The Chang'e 5 lunar exploration mission has received support and assistance from relevant countries and international organizations, including the European Space Agency, Argentina, Namibia, and Pakistan. China expresses its heartfelt appreciation to them. China always upholds the principle of non-interference in other countries' internal affairs. The allegation that China swayed the U.S. presidential elections is purely fabricated out of nothing.
And UNESCO has listed couscous, the Berber dish beloved across northern Africa's Maghreb region and beyond, as intangible world heritage. The countries that submitted the listing to UNESCO, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia and Mauritania, may have their differences, but their common love for the grain staple runs deep. Couscous, present at every social and cultural event is at once ordinary and special, their joint presentation argued. Bland by itself, couscous is served with meat or fish, spicy stew, Shakespeare's or vegetables in a mouth-watering variety of dishes.
With all my respect to other countries, Moroccan couscous remains the best couscous. Why is it the best couscous? Because it is Moroccan, and it is known through Morocco. And thanks to the way it is prepared with vegetables, it is world famous for its taste and presentation. I can tell you that we are the only country in the Arab world that respects couscous, and we eat it every day.
I have tasted couscous from Algeria and Tunisia, but Moroccan couscous is the best. It's very good. Anyone will tell you that Moroccan couscous is the best of all.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.